Hey guys, Average Joe here, and I am back with a basically a buyer's guide for anyone who's looking to purchase a used set of the Bowflex SelectTech dumbbells. And if you're purchasing them new, this really won't apply immediately. But if you're purchasing them used, if you don't know what to look for, you may buy a set that needs some repair. And whether it's, an individual disc where these things are generally selling on eBay for, I think this is $18 to $24 for one of these. And on the 1090s, these things are easily $24 or more just for one disc. So you want to make sure that you're not buying into something that, has issues that you might not be prepared to spend more on that set. However, you could also use it as a negotiating tactic. If you find that there are issues like on this handle here, which has 4 broken discs, if someone is trying to sell you a pair of these and it's got 4 broken discs on it, that might be, a way that you can say, look, it's going to cost me $100 to replace these 4 discs. So, can you give me a break on the price? So anyway, people have purchased these and they find out later there's an issue, and hopefully this video will help you understand what to look for. So in front of us right now, we have the 552 Series 1, 552 Series 2, and a 1090, which I was too lazy to bring all the weights down, so it's empty. But and we also have another handle here from a 552 Series 2, as well as some locking pins and some discs, and I'll get into that in a moment. So basically, when you're buying these weights used, it's not a bad design. Every single one of these adjustable type dumbbells, I don't care if they're Power Block or Core or Nuo or whatever they are, they all have their own quirks, their own issues that will eventually begin to fail on those dumbbells. And you just need to know what to look for so that you aren't making an investment in something that might cost you more than you planned on spending. So first thing that I do is, you're at the person's house and you have access to these dumbbells, I assume. Don't buy them sight unseen. If you're buying used on eBay, you don't know what you're getting, especially if they're not clear on the damage, or if they're not even aware. Chances are they're aware of it, but they may not be aware of it, especially if it's a more hidden type of damage, like something that's cracked and glued. Now, okay, so first thing I do is I look at both handles to see if the discs are in any way warped or tilted in the frame. They should all be running parallel to each other, all the way from the dial parallel to the plate. And this is on both sides. So you want to take a look down the disc. Now you can't lay these on a table. It's not like you're going to disassemble this handle in front of the owner. So you're not going to have the ability to lay these discs flat on a table and see if they're warped. So you have to kind of go with your visual and trust your eye on this one. If they are a little bit warped, you'll notice when you're using the sets that plates might slip out. That's one of the symptoms of a warped disc. So the next thing you're looking for is whether there's any actual physical damage on the disc. Now, again, you can see that the chunks are missing. That basically is this. That's what that looks like when it's off the dumbbell. That is one type of damage. This dumbbell at some point had been dropped or put down incorrectly, and the weights had basically yanked the corner or the edge of this disc right off. The other way, the other kind of damage you're looking for, now this, you want to use a flashlight when you're looking in at these discs and look at the smooth side of the disc. This side is much more difficult to see the damage because there's so much detail in here that it kind of masks what's going on. You can still see it if you're looking carefully, but this side reveals everything. So what you'll see is either that they've glued it or that it's cracked and it hasn't been glued yet. Either way, if you look carefully with a flashlight down each one of these flat surfaces, you'll see if it has damage. And what you're looking for is cracks around the hub and cracks along the radius on the 552 Series 1 and 2, okay? If you see this kind of damage or this kind of damage, whether it's glued or not, you know, each one of these is going to end up costing probably, these days they run about $18 to $24 each. That's for one disc. For the 1090, you're looking at $24 and up per disc to replace these things. So, you know, on a handle like this, where 4 of them are damaged, you're looking at approximately $100 here. Unless you can find someone that will give you a deal, or, you know, someone comes along selling them for a little less, you're going to pay about $100 for just 4 of these discs. And if there's damage on both sides or on both handles, now you're up to $150, $200+ just to replace crappy plastic discs that you're going to end up replacing again anyway, because they're going to break again on you at some point. So you want to check to see if there's any kind of physical damage on your 552 Series 1 or 2. And on the 1090, it shows up a little differently. Now, I don't happen to have any more of my broken 1090 discs. I only have some of the ones that are left over that were still in good shape. But it's a little different on this in that it cracks along the hub. And remember before I said, look at the smooth part? That's on 552 Series 1 and 2. On this one, it is very difficult to see the cracks because this metal washer that's embedded in the plastic, it actually hides the crack that develops on this side. So you need to look with your flashlight on this side, and you're looking for cracks right along that portion of the hub that joins the flat portion of the disc, okay? And then, second thing you're looking for, this plastic is not bonded in any way to this steel. It's just a casing. It begins to peel right here, and it lifts off the metal. If it's peeling along here, that's also a problem, because as you're trying to slide the weights in and out of the base and the plates, that peeled up portion of plastic will catch on the plates on the way in and on the way out. So you want to make sure that your discs are not peeling up on the back side or cracked around the hub on the front side. So that pretty much covers the disc portion. On the locking pins, it's very difficult. This is one of those situations where it's going to be difficult to see this damage if you're not if you're not looking for it carefully. Right here on the bottom side, so this is on the bottom where the buttons are, okay? On the bottom side, there is a hole in this plate. Actually, there's a series of holes, but the hole that's on the bottommost or facing the bottommost portion of the dumbbell, you'll see the head of the pin. What you're looking at there, this one's been upgraded with my aluminum pins. You're looking at the head of the pin right there. If it was a black pin, of course, it's much more difficult to see, but it would be the head of the black pin. And you would see it right there. And the difficulty is when these wear, they wear in many ways. One of the ways that they wear is they start shearing off at the pin itself, or they just get all eaten up, all kind of beaten all around this edge here, and they end up in rough shape where if you put your finger on this button, you can turn the disc. When you take your finger off, you shouldn't be able to turn it. If you can turn this dial when that handle is out of the base like this, then that is not good. That means the locking pin is either broken or worn, or that it's improperly reassembled. Okay, somebody may have done, for example, a replacement disc on this. Let's say they had put a new disc in here. They improperly reassembled it. Then they might be able to turn this handle, this dial, even though the handle is out of the base. And that just might be a improper reassembly. But the only way ultimately to determine what's going on is when you've got them home of course this means you've purchased them, but when you've got them home, you should disassemble the handles, reassemble the handles, which I have a video for, and see if that fixes your problem. If the dials now lock properly and unlock properly when they're in and out of the base. On the 1090 handle, I've got to put the dumbbell should always be set to a weight. If you set it in between, and I mentioned this in a different video, if you set these dumbbells in between two weights, you can actually use it to carry the base. I wouldn't recommend this, because if this failed, it would drop the entire thing on your foot. But basically, when you move this dial to any selection of weight, you can now remove the handle from the base. And what I was going to say is, you can check this in the same way. You can push the button in on your 1090 and then turn the dial to see if it's locked and unlocked properly, if there's any problem with that locking pin. Now, of course, a lot of these, actually, I think all three of these have been upgraded. So, I've got the Series 1, Series 2, and that 1090 happen to all be upgraded already. But, okay, so you want to make sure that your locking pins are locking as they should. If they are not locking the rotation of this dial when the handle is out of the base, then you know that there is either an assembly issue or a locking pin issue. If there are any kinds of cracks or anything like that, it doesn't mean don't buy the set. What I would say is use it as a negotiation. Go back to that seller and say, look, I'd like to buy the set, but it's got 4 discs cracked on this handle. That's going to be an upgrade that's going to cost about $100 in order to just fix those 4. And they may strike a deal with you, because after all, they're not using the dumbbells, especially if they're damaged, and that might net you a set of dumbbells at a decent price. And then you can either go online, and if you really want to pay for those individual discs, you can do that, or you can see me and pick up an upgrade kit, and you can forget about ever having to worry about your discs again. The plates. The last thing I want to cover, actually, there are a couple more things, but one of them is the plates themselves. Now, on the Series 1 and Series 2, different designs. You will actually see some of these plates appear on other sets. I've seen this kind of style tab elsewhere on other plates, and I don't know. I guess at some point there are transitional models that were kind of not quite Series 1 and not quite Series 2, or older versions of the 1090 that had this style tab, newer ones that have this metal style tab, and still others that have this style tab, but also a guide like this at the bottom of the plate. So there are many kinds out there, but these are 2 of them. And they're a little bit differently made, okay? If you look at these plates, there is a seam along this entire plate, goes all the way around. And this is true no matter which one you pull out. There is a seam that goes all the way around the plate. And what you're looking for is any kind of separation where these two pieces of plastic, the halves, have separated. It doesn't mean it's unusable, but it does mean that you're going to have to glue the two halves together if you want to be able to use that plate. Once they begin separating, like if this one here begins separating here, you're going to have problems getting this thing in and out of the base. Every time you put your dumbbell handle into the base, this thing's going to get caught going in, and it's going to have problems coming out because of that separation of the plastic here. So it means that you would have to super glue these halves against the steel. Remember, these plates are covered in plastic. It's not glued or in any way bonded to the underlying steel. So once they start separating, the only way to stop that is to glue the plastic to the steel. The other thing you're going to want to look for is on these sets, any damage to this tab. There is a fix if the tab is damaged, and I have a video that covers that. But if you find damage on these tabs, you only have a couple choices. You can do a fix like the one I describe in a different video, or you're going to have to buy another plate. And these plates can run a lot of money. I mean, I've seen them for everything from $10, $15 on up to $50 for a single plate. And in addition to what you paid for the set, it adds up pretty quickly. On these, you're looking to see if the rivets are in good shape. If these rivets have begun pulling out, or if one of them is sheared and this piece is loose, then this is also going to either need to be repaired. You'll have to look at the repair video for how to repair these tabs, or you're going to have to buy a plate again. But one of the things you should know is you're not going to see that same seam. What they've done here is it seems that they bonded the two halves together and then they sanded or somehow melted, or basically they got rid of the seam on these plates. So I haven't really seen the separation damage where the halves come apart. I haven't seen them on this. Not to say that it cannot occur, but this style plate is on 1090 and on the you'll see both of these styles appear on the 1090, but this newer style plate will appear on some 1090s and also on the 552 Series 2. Okay, one last type of damage. Now, none of my plates are damaged in this way, but there can be hunks of plastic just broken with the plastic missing here. That does not mean that the plate is unusable. It may be usable. What I would recommend that you do is right where the plastic is broken, put some glue up under the plastic and clamp it to the steel so that the plastic doesn't start peeling up. Remember earlier I was talking about how this plastic can peel up from this steel? Well, you don't want this plastic on any of these weights to begin peeling away from the steel. Once it starts doing that, it is really difficult to get these plates to go in and out of the base, and also to release from the handle. As you're putting the handle in and out, they don't necessarily want to release. Some of you have probably experienced this, where you're taking your dumbbell out of the base, and you go to lift it up. It lifts the plate with it, and then it drops the plate out of it into the base, even though this plate was not part of the setting that you had for your dumbbell at the time. That's in part due to defects with the discs and also with the plates. So you want to make sure if there are any chunks of plastic, bond the edge to the plate to try to save that plate so that you can continue using it. It won't be pretty, but do you really want to spend another $25, $30 for a plate when you can do that? The last thing about plates is that they can bow and kind of become convex here, where the plastic bows out slightly. Now, it's almost imperceptible to your eye. You're not going to really see it. Where you'll feel it is when you're taking the handle into and out of the plates, because that bowing will cause it to get stuck in here, and it won't easily release the plate in the base. The plate will basically want to come right out with it. And when you do upgrades, okay, this is especially true on the Series 1. My Series 1 upgrade works well if your plates are in great shape. If your plates are in any way, beginning to warp, that will, because the tolerance in mine are tighter, that will cause some of those plates to get stuck in here and not want to release. So, it works fine on my set because my set is in good shape. These two plates actually weren't even mine. They were from a customer, and I swapped out with him so that he could have perfect plates. But I then used his plates to tweak the design of my set so that it would work well even with a slightly crappy plate. But anyway, so that's enough about the plates. One other thing about the base. The bases usually are in great shape. I haven't really seen any problem other than the feet falling off. So this is a foot from a 552 Series 2 base, and these feet come off pretty easily. They come unfastened. It's not the end of the world. You could buy replacement feet. You could use it without the feet. It depends on your situation. If you're going to be putting this base on a surface other than the stand and you're worried about scratching your floor, well, either put something under it or use the feet. But if it's missing feet, it's not the end of the world. Let's see. So we covered the discs, the pins, the plates, the feet on the base. I think we've got everything. That's pretty much in a nutshell what you're going to be looking for when you're looking to buy these sets used. It's a great set. They're not supposed to be dropped. You shouldn't be dropping these weights. Even with my upgrade, you shouldn't be dropping these weights. And the reason is my upgrade may be all metal, but these plates have plastic coverings and rivets that can shear off, and they have tabs that can shear off. So you drop a dumbbell with the upgrade, and this will survive, but these may not survive. They're adjustable dumbbells. I don't care what brand, Power Block, any of them, shouldn't be dropped. If you're dropping them, it will eventually destroy them. It'll begin ruining either one plate at a time or multiple plates or multiple discs. A lot of the components on this thing are plastic. I've seen these things broken because of the damage due to abuse. So, you need to be really careful about how you use these. Now, having said that, I'm actually developing a mat that is designed to catch these things so that you can safely drop your SelectTechs or your Power Blocks, etc., without damaging them. And it's not an ordinary crash mat. It's not an ordinary drop mat. They suck. I've seen them. They aren't good enough to protect these things. I'm developing one specifically to allow you to drop these dumbbells at the end of a set repeatedly and not have your discs break, not have your plates break. And that's not easy to do when you're dealing with a 24 kilogram, 52.5 pounds, or a 40 kilogram, 90 pound, or even heavier, 100 plus pound dumbbells. So I hope you found this helpful. There's not much else to say about them. I hope that you can find some good deals out there. In fact, if you find some of the damaged ones, you can get them for a really great deal if the owner doesn't want to deal with it. These I picked up for $75 with the stand. $75 for a pair of these with a stand. That's nuts. You'll never see that nowadays. You know, now they want hundreds of dollars, even if they're not with a stand, partly due to COVID, but also just, you know, it's a unicorn price. You don't run into it very much. But yeah, if you have any other questions, let me know. Hopefully now you understand how to inspect these things so that you can, you know, buy something that you're aware of the condition that it's in. And good luck out there finding a, you know, decently priced used set that you can get years out of afterward. And thanks for watching the video. Hope everybody has a great week. See you in the next video.